NEC Section 430.24b addresses branch circuit overcurrent protection. The branch circuit, short circuit, and ground fault protective device must be rated to protect the motor branch circuit conductors, the motor control apparatus, and the motor as specified in 430.52 through 430.56. NEC Section 430.62b addresses feeder overcurrent protection. Where two or more motors are connected to the same feeder, the feeder overcurrent protective device should have a rating of not more than the sum of the largest rating or setting of the branch circuit, short circuit, and ground fault protective devices plus 125% of the full load current rating of the remaining motors connected to the feeder. In the described scenario, the branch circuit protective devices are sized for each individual variable speed drive based on their ratings. The feeder overcurrent protective device is sized based on the sum of the largest branch circuit protective device rating plus 125% of the sum of the other branch circuit protective device ratings. Because there are no other sub-feeders connected to the upstream feeder, there is no need to inflate the upstream feeder size by 125%. Therefore, the upstream feeder can be sized the same size as the downstream feeder. The answer depends on understanding how the NEC addresses motor and drive circuits. It revolves around sections 430.24b and 430.62b of the National Electrical Code. These sections provide the rules for overcurrent protection in motor circuits and feeders. Firstly, consider branch circuit protection. NEC 430.24b specifies that the branch circuit, short circuit, and ground fault protective device must be adequately rated to protect the components within the motor branch circuit. This includes the conductors, the motor control apparatus, and the motor itself. The protection requirements are detailed in NEC 430.52 through 430.56. Secondly, look at feeder overcurrent protection. When multiple motors are connected to a single feeder, NEC 430.62b provides specific guidelines for sizing the feeder overcurrent protective device. The rating of this device should not exceed the sum of two components. One component is the largest rating or setting of any individual branch circuit, short circuit, and ground fault protective device connected to that feeder. The other component is 125% of the combined full load current ratings of all the remaining motors connected to the same feeder. In other words, you take the largest individual protection device and add 125% of the total current from all other motors. In the context of variable speed drives, it's important to note that the branch circuit protective devices are typically sized based on the drive's rating, not just the motor's full load amps. This is because the drive itself may have specific protection requirements that exceed those of the motor alone. The feeder overcurrent protective device, in turn, is sized based on the branch circuit protective device ratings as described in NEC 430.62b. The specific question addresses a scenario where there are no other sub-feeders connected to the upstream feeder. This is a crucial point. If there were other sub-feeders, you would need to account for their loads when sizing the upstream feeder. However, since there are no additional sub-feeders, there's no need to inflate the upstream feeder size by 125%. The upstream feeder can be sized to match the downstream feeder, which was already sized according to NEC 430.62b based on the variable speed drive branch circuits. To summarize, the sizing of electrical feeders for variable speed drives requires a careful application of NEC sections 430.24b and 430.62b. Understanding the requirements for branch circuit and feeder overcurrent protection is essential for ensuring a safe and compliant installation. The specific scenario described, where there are no other subfeeders, allows for a simplified approach to sizing the upstream feeder. When working with variable speed drives and motor circuits, it is always recommended to consult the latest edition of the National Electrical Code and to consult with a qualified electrical engineer or inspector if you have any questions or concerns. Also consider the manufacturer's documentation and guidelines. Always adhere to local regulations and codes. Variable speed drives, often referred to as VFD, are used to control the speed of alternating current, also known as AC, induction motors by varying the frequency and voltage supplied to the motor. Understanding the electrical code requirements for VFD installations is crucial for ensuring safety and compliance. When dealing with VFD, the National Electrical Code, or NEC, provides specific guidelines for wiring, overcurrent protection, and grounding. These guidelines are primarily found in Article 430, which covers motors, motor circuits, and controllers. However, other articles may also be relevant depending on the specific application and installation. When sizing conductors for VFD installations, you must consider the motor's full load current, the VFD input current, and any directing factors that may apply. The NEC requires that the conductors be sized no smaller than 125% of the motor's full load current, unless the VFD is specifically listed for use with smaller conductors. It's also important to consider the VFD input current when sizing the feeder conductors, as the input current may be higher than the motor's full load current. Overcurrent protection is another critical aspect of VFD installations. The NEC requires that each VFD be protected by an overcurrent device such as a circuit breaker or fuse. The size of the overcurrent device must be carefully selected to protect the VFD and the motor from overloads and short circuits. The NEC provides specific guidelines for sizing overcurrent devices for motor circuits, taking into account the motor's full load current, the service factor, and the temperature rating of the conductors. Grounding is essential for ensuring the safety of VFD installations. The NEC requires that all metal parts of the VFD and the motor be properly grounded to provide a low impedance path for fault current. This helps to prevent electrical shock hazards and equipment damage. The grounding conductor must be sized according to the NEC and must be connected to a suitable grounding electrode system. In addition to the NEC requirements, it's also important to follow the manufacturer's recommendations for VFD installations. The manufacturer's instructions will provide specific guidance on wiring, overcurrent protection, and grounding. Following these instructions will help to ensure that the VFD is installed correctly and operates safely. Understanding harmonics is also important, as VFD generate harmonic currents that can distort the electrical system and cause problems with other equipment. Harmonic filters may be required to mitigate the effects of harmonics. Proper shielding and cable routing can also help to reduce harmonic emissions. Surge protection is another consideration, as VFD can be susceptible to damage from voltage surges. Surge protective devices, or SPDs, may be required to protect the VFD from surges caused by lightning strikes or other events. It's also important to consider the environmental conditions in which the VFD will be installed. VFD are sensitive to temperature, humidity, and dust. They should be installed in a clean, dry, and well-ventilated location. Enclosures may be required to protect the VFD from harsh environments. When working with VFD, it's essential to follow safe work practices. Always disconnect the power before working on a VFD. Use appropriate personal protective equipment, or PPE, such as safety glasses, gloves, and insulated tools. Be aware of the potential hazards associated with VFD, such as high voltage, rotating machinery, and stored energy. Variable frequency drives introduce harmonic distortion into the electrical system. These harmonics can cause a variety of problems, including overheating of transformers and conductors, malfunction of sensitive electronic equipment, and increased energy losses. Understanding harmonics is essential for mitigating their effects. Harmonic filters are devices that are designed to reduce the amount of harmonic distortion in the electrical system. They work by providing a low impedance path for harmonic currents, which prevents them from flowing into the rest of the system. Harmonic filters can be installed at the VFD or at the main service entrance. Shielding is a technique used to reduce electromagnetic interference, or EMI. EMI can cause problems with sensitive electronic equipment and can also interfere with communication signals. Shielded cables and enclosures can help to reduce EMI. Cable routing is also important. Cables should be routed away from sensitive electronic equipment and should be kept as short as possible. Proper grounding is essential for reducing EMI. Surge protection is used to protect VFD from voltage surges. Voltage surges can be caused by lightning strikes, switching transients, and other events. Surge protective devices, or SPDs, are designed to divert surge currents away from the VFD, protecting it from damage. SPD should be installed at the VFD and at the main service entrance. Environmental conditions can have a significant impact on the performance and reliability of VFD. VFD are sensitive to temperature, humidity, and dust. They should be installed in a clean, dry, and well-ventilated location. Enclosures can be used to protect VFD from harsh environments. Safe work practices are essential when working with VFD. Always disconnect the power before working on a VFD. Use appropriate personal protective equipment, or PPE, such as safety glasses, gloves, and insulated tools. Be aware of the potential hazards associated with VFD, such as high voltage, rotating machinery, and stored energy. Working on electrical systems always comes with safety considerations. When working on or near electrical equipment, it's important to always follow safety procedures and guidelines. Here's a summary of the topic. VFD are used to control the speed of AC induction motors. The NEC provides specific guidelines for wiring, overcurrent protection, and grounding of VFD installations. Harmonics are introduced by VFD. Mitigating harmonics requires filtering, shielding, and proper cable routing. Surge protection is used to protect VFD from voltage surges. Environmental conditions can affect the performance and reliability of VFD. Safe work practices are essential when working with VFD. When sizing the upstream feeder, it's important to consider the load requirements of all the downstream equipment that will be connected to it. This includes the VFD, as well as any other loads such as lighting, HVAC, and other electrical equipment. The NEC provides guidelines for calculating the total load requirements of a feeder. The feeder conductors must be sized to carry the total load current without overheating. It's also important to consider voltage drop when sizing feeder conductors. Voltage drop is the reduction in voltage that occurs as current flows through a conductor. Excessive voltage drop can cause equipment to malfunction or operate inefficiently. The NEC provides guidelines for limiting voltage drop in feeders. The overcurrent protection device for the feeder must be sized to protect the feeder conductors from overloads and short circuits. The NEC provides guidelines for sizing overcurrent protection devices for feeders. Grounding is essential for ensuring the safety of the electrical system. The grounding conductor must be sized according to the NEC and must be connected to a suitable grounding electrode system. Grounding helps to prevent electrical shock hazards and equipment damage. Proper labeling of electrical equipment is essential for safety. All electrical equipment, including VFD, feeders, and overcurrent protection devices, should be clearly labeled with their voltage, current, and other important information. Labeling helps to prevent accidental contact with energized parts and ensures that the equipment is properly maintained. Regular maintenance of electrical equipment is essential for ensuring its safe and reliable operation. VFDs, feeders, and overcurrent protection devices should be inspected regularly for signs of wear and tear. Any damaged or worn equipment should be repaired or replaced promptly. Maintenance helps to prevent equipment failures and ensures that the electrical system operates safely and efficiently. Understanding the NEC requirements for electrical installations is essential for ensuring safety and compliance. The NEC provides guidelines for wiring, overcurrent protection, grounding, and other aspects of electrical installations. Following the NEC helps to prevent electrical shock hazards, fires, and other electrical accidents. Consulting with a qualified electrician is recommended when planning or performing electrical work. Electricians have the knowledge and experience to ensure that electrical installations are safe and compliant with the NEC. Hiring a qualified electrician helps to prevent electrical accidents and ensures that the electrical system operates safely and reliably. Continuing education is essential for electricians to stay up to date on the latest NEC requirements and best practices. The electrical industry is constantly evolving, and it's important for electricians to stay informed of the latest changes. Continuing education helps electricians to provide safe and reliable electrical services. VFD have become increasingly popular in a wide range of industrial applications due to their ability to provide precise motor speed control, energy savings, and improved process performance. However, the proper installation and maintenance of VFD are essential for ensuring their safe and reliable operation. This includes careful consideration of wiring, overcurrent protection, grounding harmonics, surge protection, and environmental conditions. Also, following safe work practices and seeking the advice of qualified professionals are essential. These are important for ensuring that VFD installations are safe, efficient, and compliant with industry standards and regulations. The information provided here is intended for general guidance only and should not be considered a substitute for professional engineering advice. Always consult with a qualified electrical engineer or other qualified professional for specific advice on your particular application. Always follow all applicable codes, standards, and regulations. It's worth pointing out the importance of following safety guidelines and using appropriate personal protective equipment (PPE) when working with electrical systems. Remember to always energize the equipment before performing any maintenance or repairs, and to verify that the equipment is properly grounded. Also, make sure that you have a good understanding of the electrical system and the potential hazards involved before starting any work. These steps can help to prevent accidents and injuries. The NEC and other electrical codes and standards are constantly evolving, so it's important to stay up to date on the latest requirements. Attend training courses, read industry publications, and participate in professional organizations to stay informed of the latest changes. Staying current with the latest codes and standards can help you to ensure that your electrical installations are safe, compliant, and efficient. The proper sizing of electrical feeders is essential for ensuring the safe and reliable operation of electrical equipment. Undersized feeders can overheat and cause equipment to malfunction, while oversized feeders can be unnecessarily expensive. By following the NEC guidelines and considering the specific requirements of the application, you can ensure that the feeders are properly sized for the load. Remember, if there are no other subfeeders connected to the upstream feeder, then there is no need to inflate the upstream feeder size by 125%. In this case, the upstream feeder can be sized the same size as the downstream feeder. This practice aligns with established safety and performance protocols.